by Mark Hansen of M. Hansen Advisors, covered by Zero Hedge naturally. House price bubbles 2.0 in pictures. Bottom line, house prices and end user shelter buyer fundamentals have never been further apart in key economically significant cities. The two charts, which I'll get to in a minute, presented in this note highlight just how diverged house prices have become from end user, shelter buyer, employment, and income fundamentals in the most populated, economically significant U.S. cities. Speaking of that, we built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. When I was young, I absolutely loved that song. Wasn't that Starship? We built this city on rock and roll. I gotta go look now. Starship. Starship. Ready? Stand by.
We built this city. We built this city on rock.
Okay. Yeah, just, you know, I don't want you to be too doomed out on the first video about them trying to take out Trump and all. It's still kind of bothering me. Anyways, I maintain that house prices are always drawn to the purchasing power or economic strength of the end user shelter buyer cohort as the dominant permanent demand driver. But sometimes house prices, like other asset prices, go through periods of separation from end user shelter buyer cohort fundamentals. And based on the most recent data of incomes, mortgage rates, and house prices in key cities around the nation, house prices and end user fundamentals have never been further apart, even in bubble 1.0, 2006, 7, 8. The divergence wasn't this bad because exotic loans, which were the incremental driver of house prices, made for legitimately low monthly payments. Some positive or negative divergences can be solved through lots of time as the economy shrinks and grows. But over the past several years, as the economy barely grew each year, housing prices soared at a pace that exceeded bubble 1.0 in most regions. As such, it's reasonable to assume that the massive divergence in most key metros has been driven largely from the three things that just so happen to be present in all bubbles throughout history: speculation, leverage, and easing credit standards, regardless if an individual, corporate, financial market, or government level. Yeah, I don't know if I said that right. Regardless if on an individual, corporate, financial market, or government level. Think about it this way. If everybody had to buy a house the exact same way, say with a 30-year fixed, fully documented mortgage and 20% down, house prices would never detach from the end user, shelter buyer employment, and income fundamentals for a particular region. In other words, house prices would be attached to and track these fundamentals perfectly. But in times of increased speculation, leverage, and declining credit standards, the end user, shelter buyer, employment, and income fundamentals get drowned out as asset prices attach to the incremental spec and high leverage drivers. How long and how far asset prices are driven by incremental spec and leverage drivers determines the scope of the divergence and ultimately the possible downside risk in an asset class. For housing in particular, using these data, I can easily calculate the potential house price downside in each area. Bottom line, the massive house price to fundamentals divergence will close at some point, either from surging wages, plunging credit standards or rates, make monthly payments less, falling house prices, or a combo of all three. I don't think we're going to see surging wages, so I think we can kind of scratch that one out, don't you? Which means plunging credit standards or rates, which makes the monthly payments less, or falling house prices. Only two choices now. On to the data. A big problem with house prices experiencing even a moderate correction of 10 to 20% already underway in many of the most overpriced regions is with between 40 and 50% of all house purchases for years being of the less than 10% down variety, and because it takes 8 to 10% equity to sell, plus the 3% to 10% down payment on the new house. it doesn't take much downside to swamp the nation in negative liquidity once again. And we know for certain that many homeowners rather pay their credit cards and car payments before their mortgage when they are underwater. Item 1, household income increase needed to buy the median priced house in key cities. Bottom line, on a national basis, the divergence isn't too bad, about 6%, but in the key cities that drive the U.S. economy, Bubble 2.0 has blown large. This represents significant downside, especially in the sand states, just like in Bubble 1.0. I'm not going to bother with the charts. It's not really important right now. Item 2, divergence between actual household income and income needed to buy the median priced house. Bottom line, here too, on a national basis, the divergence isn't too bad, minus 6%. But again, in the key cities that drive the U.S. economy, Bubble 2.0 has blown large. And there's numbers from 30 to 55%, by the way, down. So that's kind of the end of that story. House Bubbles 2.0 in pictures. And yeah, I'll go ahead and put up these charts since I'm kind of quick, 6.5 minutes already. Here's what they look like. Household income increase needed to buy median priced houses in key cities. You would need, at the bare minimum, national, you need a 6% increase. That right? So in other words, that's the bare minimum. Over on the high end, you're over 80, 90, 100%, 100 plus. Again, look at the cities. These are key cities. 50%, 45%, 39%. It's Orlando. That's Florida. You need a 35% increase. Even in dumpy Chicago, which now becoming a dump, I should say. All the massive killings happening there. Breaking all known records. Even there, 33%. I'm wondering, is Illinois, anywhere from Illinois up in here? That place is probably going to be off this list. It ain't going to be too hard to afford a house there in the near future. That whole state, you know, I know it's Chicago, but the state of Illinois, I'm trying to think. I was about to say, you know, as if it was a city. It's really the whole state that's in trouble. So maybe I should correct myself by saying, I know you needed a 33% increase in Chicago, but again, that's one of the major powerhouses of there. Everywhere else, you're going to see prices coming down because people are leaving in droves. They don't want to pay the extra taxes and whatnot. Prices, everything's going to be absolutely destroyed there, housing and all. Anyways, that's it. Well, wait a minute. Maybe you wanted to see this other one. Maybe you want to see the other one. Divergence between actual household income. Oh, here we go. Much bigger. And income needed. So the divergence between actual income and income needed. National, down 6%. Again, those major big cities, 30, 40, 55% down. It's the same story. Same damn story. I'm done. I'm out.